My name's Kelly McLaughlin. I'm one of the dungeon dudes, and I'm going to be playing the character of Sebastian Crowe in Dungeons of Drakkenheim. Sebastian Crowe is a half-elf shadow sorcerer, bounty hunter background. The way that I'm going to kind of portray that, he's a bit of a rebellious sorcerer, doesn't really know where his powers came from. And he didn't do too well in mage's school, kind of dropped out of that, and now he kind of takes it upon himself to hunt down rogue wizards and put an end to them for money, because he just wants to use his powers for good after seeing them do so much evil in his younger days. He was born on All Hallows Eve, and even during his birth, there were stories and rumors of the dark magic that surrounded that incident. He was kind of shunned. He didn't have a lot of friends because of his abilities. And when he would go into town, often people would turn the other way. He would always see this hound that pursued him as he was gaining these powers. Every time they would erupt out of him, there would be a hound nearby, which he saw as both a companion to his magic, but also the manifestation of all of his inner demons. And so he's never really known how to interact with that. When Sebastian was 15 years old, he was wandering through the south ward of Drakkenheim, and he was struck by this terrible vision of the destruction of the whole city. It alerted a lot of the townsfolk when he was found in the streets screaming and crying. And the Amethyst Academy showed up shortly after that to take him away to learn to harness his powers better. He spent some time with the Amethyst Academy, although he did not necessarily enjoy the way the rules and regulations all worked. He was happy to kind of gain control in some form over his powers. He also met his closest friend, another sorcerer named River. He had a few other friends there as well, and he tried to use powers that were maybe beyond his control, beyond his abilities, which got him kind of kicked out of the Amethyst Academy, which led to him starting his own business of being hired to track down rogue wizards and put an end to them. It was this that actually leads him back to Drakkenheim. It's when River, his closest friend, contacts him and says, "We might have a job for you, but it's going to involve going back to Drakkenheim," that Sebastian sees this as his call to action to finally deal with the fact that he feels, even though he knows it's impossible, he feels partially responsible for the fall of the city. He feels like his visions, his magic, somehow is connected to this city, and it's been drawing him back there ever since, which has terrified him. But in the moment his best friend asks for help, he says, now's the time. I need to go back. I need to figure out what's going on there, and I need to help my friend. Sebastian's kind of a rough, roguish type of personality. He doesn't always play by the rules. He's always trying to plan his escape or his next move. And part of the way that I picture him being portrayed is because he's a charisma-based character. He likes to talk his way into or out of situations, well in the back of his mind, trying to plan how he's going to deal with it if things boil over. His view on this adventure is that to him, going back into Drakkenheim is something that is both terrifying but necessary, and he's looking for answers. He's looking for answers as to where his powers came from, what happened to the city, and what can he find out and learn from going back there. So there's a slight curiosity. There's a drive to want to know more and understand more. He doesn't necessarily follow the rules. And a lot of times I can see him kind of, people will make a plan, but he won't always listen to the full plan. Or he'll always think that maybe he has a better trick up his sleeve. And he might think that he can talk his way out of any situation, which he probably can't, and I can see it getting him into a lot of trouble. Sebastian grew up the son of a blacksmith in a very small community. They didn't live in a big house. They didn't have any sort of fancy lifestyle, but he would often travel to Drakkenheim, which was a city of marvelous buildings and castles, and he always kind of just told himself that he would do more for his father and kind of be able to give him a better life. And when he left home, he left his father behind. He went to train with the academy, and he never returned. And it was partially because he was afraid, and partially because he was guilty. He felt guilty for leaving his father there. So his goal was always make a name for himself so that he could return and say, look what I've accomplished. I was a nothing when I was here. Everybody hated me. People feared me. And now look what I've become. And look what I can do. And here's all this money. We can have a better life now. Sebastian became a mage hunter because of all of the problems that his magic caused when he was growing up. Enough people told him that he was a blight on the community, that he was like inhuman, that the things he was doing were unnatural. He started to believe that himself. He started to doubt himself, and he started to hate himself. And he had a really hard time coming out of that. And so when he was able to harness his magic powers, what he wanted to do most of all was right the wrongs that he had seen magic do. And so when he sees wizards using it improperly, causing harm to other people, that's the last thing Sebastian ever wanted. Even though he's imbued with dark magic, he wants to use it for good and to prove that magic users can be a good part of the community. Dungeons of Drakkenheim is going to be a really exciting campaign. I have myself seen both Joe and Jill roleplay, and they're two of my favorite people to play D&D with. Monty has been my DM for years since I got into Dungeons & Dragons, and I can't think of a better storyteller that I could have worked with. And we all sat down, we laid out these really cool ideas, these really cool stories. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be unexpected, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So Dungeons of Drakkenheim is going to air Tuesday nights from 6 to 9 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll be streaming live on Twitch, and you can follow the links below to find those videos. And also, we'll be posting the videos afterwards on our YouTube channel. So make sure to check them out, and I'm so excited to get this started, so tune in for Dungeons of Drakkenheim.